Hello and welcome to our webinar, Unlocking the Power of E-Commerce Product Recommendations to Boost Conversions. Hi, I'm Modal Patel from Unbxd, and this is the latest in our ongoing Unbxd webinar series, where we talk about very specific topics that help online retailers solve challenges and identify opportunities to grow their business. Our webinar series comes with different topics, with different focus, and today we come to you to talk about our e-commerce product recommendations. A little bit about us. For those who are new to our webinar series, let me give you a quick overview about Unbxd. We are a California-based company with about 1,200 customers globally and 300 customers right here in the US. What makes us unique is that we have solved some of the product discovery problems that were not solved before. Our solution is customized for all our customers, regardless of their size, and we are very competitive in our price points in our services. Here's some customers that we work with today. In a global enterprise scale level, we work with Target.com, Newegg.com, and department stores like Bells Florida and Burke's Outlet. We also work with pure online brands. These are all IR 250, IR 500 level customers. And we also work with a lot of different platforms, essentially making our solution platform agnostic. So today's agenda, getting into our topic for today, we're going to establish why are product recommendations critical to the e-commerce experience. Then we'll take a little bit of a brief history in the evolution of product recommendations, understanding the customer journey and when and where product recommendations fit, and best practices for showing e-commerce product recommendations. Some key takeaways and room for some question and answer. So why are product recommendations critical to e-commerce experience? There are too many choices today, no matter what e-commerce site you go to. Unless you're a very small specialty site selling a very few sets of products, there are just too many choices. Not only the number of products options are increasing, the number of options to buy are also increasing. This often leads to a lot of confusion for customers. They can't just simply decide. However, what we have found is that this is a human psychology observation, and this is an intense study that has been done on this particular topic, that it's been seen and often talked and written about, that we are irrational buyers. Many times our decisions to buy something are based on other people's decisions. There have been many articles and study that points that how shoppers follow a pattern that other customers may have followed before. Chi Wang, an associate professor of marketing at Birmingham University, who did a study on shoppers' behavior attributed to observational behavior, or the tendency of people to adopt the same habits and tendencies as peers. If you're interested in this topic, let us know. We'll definitely provide some study links for this as well. So this makes product recommendations essential because now you can show what others are doing on the site, and it becomes important to share this as a recommendation. So recommendation became a mechanism to deliver that information to customers. So from a retailer's perspective, recommendations offer a better user experience, increase in average order value as a basket size, increase in revenue, enhance customer loyalty, and increase in traffic. It is only when retailers started to show recommendations that they recognize these benefits. But customers don't want just any recommendations. So showing recommendations is critical, but results must resonate with the customer, and that's what makes relevancy of suggestions an absolute necessity. Users want recommendations personalized to their needs and preferences. Even though they understand and like what other people have bought, it still has to be personalized to their own tastes. And this, what it means to personalize for retailers, is aptly conveyed by Jeff Bezos. He said, if I have 2 million customers on the web, I should have 2 million stores on the web. That makes it pretty clear as to why personalization is so important. So why personalization is important, to understand that, you need to take a step back in the history and the evolution of product recommendations. So the very earliest known technique for product recommendation is called collaborative filtering, commonly known as wisdom of the crowd. So collaborative filtering, simply put, is user-based collaborative filtering is a recommendation technique that maps visitor to other visitors with similar interests and recommend products that these other similar visitors have viewed or purchased. So while collaborative filtering data is gathered on visitors' on-site activity like views, clicks, and purchases, this data is then segmented into multiple visitor segments, each with its own set of affinities and preferences. Therefore, when a visitor visits the site, she's placed in a particular visitor segment and shown recommendations based on what visitors in that segment prefer. Second technique is called content filtering based recommendations. This technique, also called cognitive filtering approach, analyzes products that a visitor has previously viewed and builds a visitor profile based on the products viewed. The recommendation process basically consists of matching the attributes of the visitor profile against the attributes of the product. In content-based recommendation, one tries to recommend items similar to those a given user has liked in the past. For example, if a customer is profiled to be price sensitive, content filtering technique will find products on sale and show those products to the customer. Let's look at how the different recommendation techniques evolved over the last 2 decades, and we'll very quickly go through this. The developers of Tapestry, an experimental mail system in 1992, were the first ones to use term collaborative filtering as a way to filter documents for a particular user, providing a list of interesting documents regardless of what the list it was. It was developed by Xerox PARC Labs. Also in 92, Paul Resnick and associates at the University of Minnesota started the Group Lens project to examine automated collaborative filtering systems and eventually created a Usenet news client that allowed readers to rate each other's messages with a simple interface. And then it was used essentially to make recommendations. Also, Group Lens created Movie Lens in 97 to gather research data on personalized recommendations. Movie Lens is the first movie recommendation system that provided movie recommendations for its users to watch based on their film preferences using collaborative filtering. So very primitive from that perspective. Fab, designed by Marko Balabanovich in 1997, was one of the earlier website recommendation systems. It allowed users to create filters that were content-based filters, comparing the information to find out the best matches for collaborative recommendations. Around the same time in 97, the second technique, that is content-based filtering, also gained steam, mostly in the research community though. Amazon proposed a revolutionary item-based collaborative filtering technique, which they patented in 99 and got a license in 2001, which was looking at similarities between two items, not just two people, and used the people ratings of those items to make recommendations. And in 2000, Pandora founded the Music Genome Project, which suggested music recommendations by matching up the user's artist and song likes with other songs that are similar by classifying the songs in their database. So you can see here how content-based recommendation and collaborative filtering were very prominent. What really changed the game was in 2006, Netflix started an open competition for the best collaborative filtering algorithm to predict user ratings for films based on previous ratings without any other information about the users or films. So on 21st September 2009, the grand prize of $1 million was given to Belcore's Pragmatic Chaos team, which outperformed Netflix's own algorithm for predicting ratings by almost 10%. The big difference was it was bringing user ratings and movie attributes together. This really opened up the adoption of recommendations in e-commerce, more so than when Amazon started in 2001. In 2007, the first ACM, Association of Computing Machinery, conference on recommendation system took place in Minneapolis that brought together leaders in both research and applications to discuss the innovations, challenges, etc. In the space of product recommendations arena. Since then, this has become a regular event. It takes place every year. Definitely something you should think about considering attending if you're really interested in the recommendations world. Also, by 2007, YouTube and Dig started implementing recommendation systems on their platform. By 2007, content-based recommendations, which only considered the visitor's previous activities and preferences, started gaining prominence in e-commerce specifically. Although initially content-based recommendations seemed very promising, innovators soon discovered major limitations in using a pure content-based recommendation system. Some of these are limited content analysis. So because these recommendations relied on large set of data, without adequate data about visitor interaction, it became very difficult to show relevant suggestions. Next was over specialization. So it was also difficult to change visitor profiles, which have been established over time. However, visitor preferences do change over time in reality. New user dilemma, which is the cold start problem. For new users, enough rating and data points have to be collected in order to show relevant suggestions. So new users were getting random suggestions, or the site started to ask a lot of questions to collect data points. However, all users just wanted to do was browse and not be bothered with some questionnaire or a survey. To overcome these limitations and of these two approaches, content-based and collaborative filtering, innovators combined the two approaches to offer a more relevant and personalized experience to the user. Although the groundwork had started as early as 2002 and 3, 2010, many online sites started offering these services, and so did e-commerce sites. So in 2012, Unbxd introduces its version of one-to-one personalized product recommendations, which is based on the next generation of algorithms that looks at three behaviors. It looks at the user behavior themselves, it looks at the item behavior or the product behavior, and the third is the collaborative behavior. And the real innovation that we brought to the table was changing the weightages of each behavior in real time based on the presence or absence of data. So we don't have to wait for a customer to fill out a survey or any of that stuff. We basically started to look at what data we had and made recommendations based on that approach. So this is an indicative figure, and what did we really do? We want to sort of establish that this approach actually does work, and we've actually proven that in a lot of different e-commerce sites. And for specifically for Pura Vida bracelets, this is an indicative figure of the boost and hike our customers have seen using Unbxd product recommendation widgets. As you can see, it's 28% increase in average order value, 24.6 conversion rate increase for the card recommendations widget, and 20% conversion rate for recently viewed widget. Okay, so before we get into understanding the customer journey and how product recommendations fit, let's do a quick poll. Okay, the question is, do you offer one-to-one personalized recommendations? Yes, you offer recommendations personalized to every user. No, you don't. You only offer static, or you don't show any recommendations. It will be awesome to see what your take on is. All right, moving on to the next topic. Okay. So in order to understand the customer journey and how product recommendations fit, let's understand the different types of shoppers. And a particular shopper can be in any of these phases in their journey to buy. So they could be explorers who are just evaluating and browsing products. Targeted shoppers, they have some idea of what they want to buy. Committed shoppers who know absolutely what they're interested in buying. And a repeat shopper or a visitor. So loyal customers that have bought in the past, or just a visitor who's just coming back to the site who may be a committed shopper or a targeted shopper. Okay. So explorer customer behavior. The visitor at this stage is trying to browse the site and look for products or product categories relevant to her. So site search and navigation helps her discover products, but recommendations can create relatively more personalized experience. For example, showing bestsellers, popular products, new arrivals, trending products gives the visitor an idea of the kinds of products available with the site and on the site, and helping her take an action to the next level. sort of guiding her to the next level. Engaging first-time visitors can be tough, especially as you don't have any customer data to offer any personalized recommendations. This is commonly called the cold start problem. However, here, location, demographic data can be used to instantly highlight products a customer might be interested in. For instance, winter jackets in recommendations can be shown to a person who is from New York, while lighter jackets can be shown to a visitor from Miami during winter. Now, within 2 clicks that a first-time user makes on the site, you want to start personalizing the recommendations to that individual. So the next is targeted shopper behavior. Here, visitor in this stage starts browsing through a few products, either through navigation or again site search. However, her buying intent is still not very clear. As soon as the visitor starts browsing the site or making a search, she's giving valuable signals of the products she may be interested in. When the visitor is evaluating categories or brands, top seller recommendations can be used to highlight top performing products in that category or brand. When the visitor is on a product detail page, you want to provide recommendations related to that product and what we now know about the visitor so that they can start evaluating alternatives and compare products. This can be done by showing viewed also viewed, bought also bought, or more like these recommendations. Engaging a targeted shopper. Here is an example where a visitor who is looking for washing machine, for example, is shown top washing machine brands along with top selling or popular washing machine products. Right? So it's still on the category page, and we want to make sure we put our best foot forward. When a customer is exploring specific product, she should be shown recommendations to help them look for alternatives and comparisons to facilitate finding the best product for them. So this is on a product detail page. They've already identified they're evaluating this particular product. How can we show other recommendations to help them get to the next level? Committed shopper. Once the user has finalized on the product and is ready to make the purchase, this becomes seller's window, as in the retailer's window, to cross-sell products or upsell and improve average order value. So sometimes complete the look, which offers cross-sell recommendations, becomes very important for committed shoppers. Repeat visitor or shoppers are easier to sell and engage. This is where personalization does become very powerful. Repeat visitors or shoppers should be shown recently viewed items to help them resume shopping, and should also be shown personalized recommendations based on items they have viewed previously on the homepage. So here's an example of recommendations and suggestions based on the user's own browsing behavior. So what should we consider when showing recommendations? You want to show recommendations when it matters the most, and it would depend on your industry, your differentiators as to why customers buy from you, and most importantly, how customers buy from you. You should consider relevancy, as in when to show the recommendation and what to show in the recommendation, timeliness, as in where and when to show the recommendation, and the design and the usability to decide when, where, and why, what to show in those recommendations. All right. So we'll now walk you through some of the best practices and examples very quickly to illustrate the points that we were just been making in terms of how relevant it should be, how timely it should be, and what kind of design and usability element you need to be careful about. So let's start with the engaging explorers. In this section, we'll look at engaging explorers to convert browsers into buyers. Okay, so this is an example from Newegg, who is our customer, Newegg.com, which shows trending products, best sellers, and popular products on the homepage. Showing actual products is better than actually using just banners. Another example to show trending products, new arrivals, and popular products. Okay. So as you can see here, it's clearly showing on the homepage how do we show trending products and popular products. Okay. Next is an example for category-wise new arrivals and bestsellers on the homepage. Example, we are looking at electronic goods and apparels. And you can see how a lot of different sections have been created for each different category. And then if you go into a particular category called, say, electronics, you can see how we are showing top sellers within that category itself. Okay. Next is engaging targeted shoppers. So here's an example of targeted shoppers. We're showing top sellers on results page help users explore popular products. So this is actually showing on the product detail page when the customer is evaluating a particular product. How do we show other top sellers? You may also like suggestions are also shown next to the product. So a lot of times a customer may not necessarily decide by just looking at one product. So how do you make that journey easy by showing other similar products that they may also like based on their behavior and the behavior of other customers? Here, you can use a slider to show more similar products in case you have limitations in terms of the size and the number of products you can show in one go. Use a slider so you can quickly show more products and make best use of your page layout as well. Upsell recommendations, you can show higher variants of the products that are being shown. So if you're showing 8 to 9, if you're showing a 7-seater product, a 7-seat dining table set, you can now show 8 to 9-seat dining table set when the user may be browsing for just 7. Another interesting example, this is from Costco. Here, one higher product variant is shown, say for example, 43-inch 1080p TV, and one lower product variant is shown, which is 39-inch. Just to see if the customer is really interested in this particular size, they're sold on it, or could we at least give them an idea that bigger size and a smaller size may also be available, but closely related to the size that they're looking at. Don't show 60 inches when they're looking at 40. This is another example of showing similar products where laptops from other brands are being shown with similar specs and configurations. Here's an example of what not to do, showing different color variants, which they could have been easily shown in the main product itself, on the product detail page itself. Don't show variants of other colors as recommendations. The customers can easily evaluate different colors within the main product itself. Another example of what to avoid, here analog watches are being shown when customer is actually looking at digital watches. This is another best practice. Clearly separate upsell and cross-sell recommendations. You don't want to mix upsell and cross-sell recommendations. You want to identify them very clearly delineated in the UI. So here's an example where this is not what you want to do. When a customer is viewing products, she's evaluating her options, right? At this stage in the first fold, it makes sense to show similar products. In this case, more sandals possibly. The current recommendations customer also bought can be moved lower to highlight different products than the other have been highlighted. Here's another example what not to do. Showing similar products using people also bought is a great way to engage customers, as it adds a layer of social proof that I'm not the only person buying from this site. There are other folks also buying from this site. However, relevancy of suggestions is very important. In this case, both watches and accessories like straps are shown in a single recommendation widget. Don't do that. This is an example when non-personalized recommendations are being shown. So you can see here clearly shoes and pants and watches, everything is just being thrown in together. Again, showing irrelevant suggestions. I'm looking at a product which is a tunic, but the suggestions being shown are cardigans. Don't do that. Next piece is very critical to differentiate. A lot of customers, and depending on your industry and the frequency of a customer coming back to the site, real-time recommendations become very, very important. In some industries, there are time lapses where a customer only comes to the site maybe 3 times a year or 4 times a year. versus in some verticals like grocery, a customer is coming in every week or every other week. For industries where there is such a big lapse in time, you want to make sure that the behavior of that customer in real time is something that gets captured, and you make recommendations based on that real time behavior. Here's an example from Macy's, offering an option to the users to remove recently viewed examples, recently viewed items. So this is one UI element that we believe is very helpful. You track all the products that a customer has seen in a widget called recently viewed. If a customer is not interested in a particular one, give them the option to just remove it. So you also know as an extra signal now that that particular type of product is not something a customer is interested in. Engaging committed shoppers. This is an example from an apparel retailer which offers complete the look kind of recommendations to cross-sell products. This is an example where relevant cross-sell recommendations are being shown. So I'm on the checkout page buying a particular product, and they're showing me other customers who've bought the same product with other similar complementary products. Here's an example that to not do. Like we shared before, card recommendations can help retailer increase average order value and basket size and improve conversion. So not showing doesn't necessarily make sense. You always want to show card recommendations, except for some exceptions, and we'll talk about that in a second here. This is, on the other hand, is something which should be avoided. As a retailer, you don't want to confuse the shopper by showing too many variants of the same product in the checkout stage. For instance, when a visitor has finalized on a wedding band, let's say for example, showing too many bands on the cart page can confuse the shopper. So in that instance, you don't want to necessarily show just other recommendations. You actually have to think about what should actually be a recommendation that will not distract the customer from that particular page. All right, engaging repeat visitors. Before we get into that particular next slide, a quick poll, if you don't mind. Do you offer upsell and cross-sell recommendations? Options are only upsell, only cross-sell, both. So personalized recommendations on the home page is a good way to engage a repeat visitor or a repeat customer. Amazon actually does it beautifully, as we all know. In fact, over 70% of Amazon's homepage is devoted to personalized recommendation. So that shows you how important it is to show recommendations on the homepage. This is this is what most of the sites are currently doing. Although the visitor has added a product to the cart, the homepage is not personalized to highlight the items she has browsed or would be interested in. Right? So you were showing on nuts.com as an example, we had a product on the cart page. I did not add any complimentary from the cart page, came back to the home page, and suddenly it's showing me the same products that I would have seen otherwise. So those are all the examples, ladies and gentlemen, we have. Some key takeaways to wrap up this conversation. E-commerce product recommendations are a great way to enhance product discovery and improve conversions, as you saw. You want to offer more one-to-one personalization to make the customer experience relevant and personalized. However, you need a system that actually understands that in real time, how to change based on what the customer behavior has been. Showing right recommendations in the right place, right manner, right time is very, very crucial. So design and layout is extremely important. What should be shown above the fold, below the fold? Timeliness. Very important to show, when not to show. Relevancy, which recommendations to show, which products to show. And again, real time is a very important aspect. Again, showing right recommendations, a summary just to give you an idea for explorers, featured products, trending products, new arrivals. Very much a product behavior based recommendations is important. For a targeted shopper, viewed also viewed, social proof, bought also bought, similar products on the products page. For a committed shopper, complete the look, card recommendations. And for a repeat shopper, recently viewed and recommendations based on their behavior on the home page. Any questions? I see quick questions. We have C4. We'll take two real quick. If we are not able to answer any of your questions, we'll definitely reach out to you and send you an email with an answer to your question. Question 1 is, when showing product recommendations, how many products should be shown? So it definitely depends on the usability and the design of your site. If you're showing a horizontal widget, depending on how many products you can fit in based on that layout, or you're showing vertical, we always recommend that not necessarily get too hung up on how many products to show, but to always add a scroll bar so you can show much more recommendation products than just what are visible. Second question is, with Unbox, is it possible to personalize based on location? That is correct. Demographic location-based recommendations are absolutely possible. We also go beyond just location. In a particular time of the year, season of the year, temperature, weather patterns, all of those also are taken into consideration. But it all depends on the vertical and the industry you're in, whether those types of signals are important or not important to a customer purchase behavior. All right, a quick announcement. If you are attending shop.org in Philadelphia, October 5th through 7th, we're going to be there, booth 1443. Please stop by. Let us know if you're coming. We can schedule a time to have a conversation with you that is convenient to you, and we would love to hear your thoughts and your questions. If you wanted to grade your product recommendations experience, please visit unbxd.com/recommendations-grader. We will give you an analysis. It's free. We'll give you an analysis of your existing recommendations and whether there is any room for improvement or that you guys are doing a great job. Well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us for today's webinar. Hopefully you got enough tidbits to take some actionable next steps. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is monal@unbxd.com. And here's my cell phone number if you ever have any more questions. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon in our next webinar series.